Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 3 of Jamdani Weaves. And today I present to you a young and very popular designer from West Bengal, Manas Ghorai, who's been doing a lot of experimentation with both the fabric as well as the Jamdani weave in West Bengal. So today Manos is here to do a little bit of a technical 101 with us on Jamdanis. He's going to talk about some differences in motifs, the differences in the cloth, teaching you how to identify an authentic Jamdani, and so on. So Manoj, first of all, a very warm welcome to you.
Thank you so much, Shwetasri ma'am, inviting me to this interview, and I'm very pleased to having a discussions with you, and I will try to share my best knowledge with you and whatever.
Thank you much. Thank you very much. I think what we'll do is we'll begin straight away, with what you and I were talking about before this, which is how to distinguish between the Jamdanis of West Bengal and the Jamdanis of Bangladesh. Because I think a lot of people aren't sure how to know what is a Dhakai Jamdani and how to identify a Jamdani from West Bengal. So let's please begin with that right away. Over to you.
Okay, sure. So first of all, I would like to say that Jamdani is a pride of undivided Bengal. And it is now the heritage of both the Bengals. The weaving technique we use, needlework, is a part of the ancient Bengal traditions. The extra weighting work is so intricate that it is often called loom embroidery. However, it is not embroidery, it is a weaving technique. Jamdani is a weaving technique. Bangladeshi Jamdani textile have certain difference with West Bengal Jamdani. In West Bengal, we do Jamdani in different type of fabric texture, like 30 counts of cotton to 300, sometimes beyond 300 counts of cotton fabric, where we are experimenting even in silk, from matka to mulberry silk, linen. Even today, the linen jamdanis are very popular. In Bangladesh, so far, which I have seen, jamdani mostly crafted on cotton-based fabric. Although there is a variety these days called half silk, where they twist the cotton and silk together and to achieve the very fine texture of Jamdani fabric. However, Bangladesh cotton Jamdani, which are most popular, are usually of being made in 60 to 80 counts cotton. And specifically, if you see the Bangladeshi cotton Jamdani fabrics, you could find there is a very netty structure. Like, so while we fix the warp, we give gap, certain distance, some millimeter gap between two threads. So they leave the same gap between the threads even at the time of wefting. So warp and weft has the same equal millimeter of gap, because when they do the knitting effect, it's become like a graph paper. And if you see Bangladeshi Jamdani designs or Bangladeshi Jamdani sarees, dupattas, whatever the product is, all the designs has a geometrical pattern. Even it is a floral designs or some, most of the designs is inspired by floral motif, but all of them has a geometrical patterns or geometrical flow into their designs. So it is very easy for them to count the thread or count the gap and uh, weave the designs pattern into the base fabric. In West Bengal, Jamdanis, you will see that the fabric structure is very smooth. If you see the picture on the screen, you will note that there are no gaps in between the threads. Okay, where the Bangladesh follow or keep the gap for the graphing point, but we don't keep any gap between any threads. We do a very densely woven fabric, but our fabric is smooth and very flowing. As a result, our patterns are more not so angular actually. So the question is, then how our West Bengal weavers do the Jamdani pattern on the fabric? So in West Bengal, we draw the designs pattern on the wave threads, as you can see from the image on the screen. It's said. You can see the two birds drawn on the web threads that the weaver is using as a reference. In the next picture, you can see the bird is being woven according to the drawing.
Um, is it also not true, Manush, that that the that the motifs that are there in West Bengal Jamdanis and Bangladesh Jamdanis are quite different? Because West Bengal is doing a lot of experimentation, whereas Bangladesh is still very formal, very traditional. Don't you think so?
Well, I completely agree with you. If you see the Bangladesh Jamdani's texture or designs or textile, you can still find there is only the traditional patterns is being woven even today. Little alteration is there definitely, but it's mostly the larger part of the weavers is following the old traditional pattern. Whereas in Bengal we do lots of research for our Jamdani designs. There are different designers across the country. They comes to West Bengal, they sit with the weavers and they explore their design style, their sensibility on the base fabric.
So, in other words, what you're saying is that there's a lot more design intervention that you see in West Bengal, which is not so. So, in Bangladesh, I mean, apart from, of course, recent initiatives to try and recreate some of the older patterns from the books, etc., apart from those initiatives, to a large extent, I think you'll agree when I say that the Bangladeshi Jamdanis have relied on weavers you remembering the patterns themselves and the weavers doing their own thing, right? Without too much of design intervention.
Exactly. Here in West Bengal, we do lots of floral patterns, even fauna patterns, or even we follow the traditional patterns in a very contemporary way.
Or letters of the Bengali alphabet,
What,
like
what
like the one I'm wearing today, which, by the way, for the sake of everyone who's listening in today and watching this, this is one of Manush's own designs. I'm very proud to be wearing it for his interview today. So this has letters of the Bengali alphabet. So you can see this is an R. This is the letter R, which is at the start of the alphabet.
letters
And it's very interesting because Manush has done this entire sari, which has which has got all these Bengali letters all over it in Jamdani needle, very fine needlework Jamdani. This is a very fine hand woven and hand spun fabric. So this, I think, is a very interesting design intervention, Manush. Kudos to you for that.
Innovation ensures that people with modern taste also like wearing jamdani. The techniques of making fine traditional patterns is still the monopoly of Bangladeshi weavers. So when you are buying a traditional Dhakai Jamdani sari, you should look for it heritage patterns like Angur Lota, which is the most famous and popular Jamdani designs for Bengal and Bangladesh, which means grape vine. Neem full, the flower of neem tree. Child cheetah, it's like a small grains, rice grains, meaning the patterns is inspired from a rice grains thrown on the ground. Bell pata, bell leaf from the bell plant. Chiruni part, the comb border. Joyful, the jasmine flowers. Like there is a many different patterns, traditional different patterns is available in traditional Bangladeshi Dhakai Jamdani motif.
In West Bengal, a lot of people uh, ask this question, and so I thought this was a good opportunity for you to attempt to answer it. And that is, how do you distinguish between the sari that is popularly known as Tangail in West Bengal, the cotton saris of West Bengal, the Tangails, and Jamdanis?
Well, Narayanganj is a place in the Tangail district of Bangladesh. The original Tangail weavers came from here. Tangail sari also use extra web pattern like Jamdani. Jamdani is always understood to be heavy work, you know, all over on the body and pallu, big border like that. But naturally, heavy work is more expensive. So Tangail sari were conceptualized to make Jamdanis more affordable. They became very popular in West Bengal. Weavers in Samudragar, in Hugli, Fulia in Nadia, then Kalna in Bardhaman are weaving Tangail saris today. The technique is the same. There is no difference in the technique. Jamdani and Tangail sari weaving technique, both are extra wave technique. The designs are also same. They are simpler patterns, and very few are in numbers because they are placed in very distance way in a fabric stick.
As in the motifs, you're saying the motifs are,
Yes,
uh,
agree.
yeah, far
The
apart on the
and
palla and the body.
as a result, what happened? The cost also become less. It is a everyday sari. In Tangails also there are experiments such they are doing on Tangail sari on silk, which are popular in 1990s. And today, Tangail saris are also available in Tasar silk.
So it's interesting, you talked about Pulia and Nodia and of course Kalna. And I think all of us who are familiar with West Bengal Jamdanis know that these are the two hubs of Jamdani weaving in Bengal today. So there is a lot of modernization there. And this also brings me to the unfortunate part of how, uh, Pulia being a huge mass production kind of location. We're seeing a lot of jacquard sarees, we're seeing a lot of powerloom that is coming from Pulia, and a little unfortunately, because of lack of knowledge, etc., they are all being tagged as Jamdani, which they are not. Um, so, Manush, could you take us through the differences between a needlework Jamdani, a jacquard sari, and a powerloom sari, so that depending on whatever the consumer wants to buy, they're able to tell each sari from the other. They're able to distinguish between them.
So, as you mentioned, the Fulia is a big hub of Bengal weaving sector, or also for the different types of Jamdani is Fulia is weaving today. Yes, Fulia has a strength to do that. But I would say कि Jamdani, it's a very unique word of Bengal textile. It's a very sensitive word. And Jamdani always has to be a needle work, always has to be weaved through the extra weight work has to be done by needle. That is the authentication of hand woven Jamdani or done Jamdani. But today, of course, as you said, it is happening through jacquard, it is happening through powerloom. So first of all, I would say I have not much idea about the powerloom because I have not been to that sector and I have not seen, but I would share some images with you how the powerloom, after weaving the powerloom product Jamdani, how the next process, how it's happening. Today, one word we say is slow fashion or sustainable work. So I should say that this Jamdani work is falls under slow fashion category because if I weave a proper Jamdani sari or good designs oriented Jamdani sari, it takes minimum 20 days to 35 days, 40 days. Now I'll come to your point, how we will identify the good qualities Jamdani work. So now see this image. So the Jamdani pattern, this weaving is happening in my weaving sector. Two ladies is doing a single sari through the needle. Even you can see the needle clearly. So they are weaving individual flower individually by hand. How we will identify this is the needlework Jamdani? So we say, okay, good work uh, has to be equally good from the reverse side. Look at this image. This is the image has showing the two parts. One is the front part and the other one is the back part, the reverse part. If you see closely, you hardly identify the back part and reverse part and the front part, the difference. So if you see the each motif, even the close motifs also woven individually. There is a no link between two flowers. Even each flowers has two leaves. That two leaves also individually woven. So these how the hand woven or needlework woven Jamdani happens.
In fact, Manoj, I have a term for it. It's only in needlework jamdanis that you will see a U-turn. I like to call it a U-turn because when you're using a needle, you're literally doing a U-turn and coming back in each line.
Come
So
back.
you don't have cut threads at the edge of each motif. In a needlework jamdani, you have the U-turn at the end of each motif. So that
Yes,
is a
yes.
good way to know that. And the next image that Manoj has shared with me, which you can all see on your screen after this, is the cut threads of a jacquard woven Jamdani inspired shari.
So after this, I would like to share a video where they make the powerloom sarees, and they want to prove that's a Jamdani saree and how they cut the thread from the behind and giving a Jamdani effect. Shweta ma'am, unfortunately, the word Jamdani has become highly misused, I feel. Many people are using the term and they are not selling Jamdanis. Even jacquard sarees, what I feel, they are also inspired by Jamdani designs. They are not Jamdani. And though the term is commonly used, it is our responsibility to reclaim Jamdani so that it is only used for needlework sarees.
I couldn't agree more with you, Manush. I think it's very, very important that we reclaim the term because, and I can speak for myself and say that, even when I did Jamdani Week last year, a lot of people would wear jacquard saris and they would tag it as Jamdani, and I felt obliged to share it, and so I would use the term needlework Jamdani and jacquard Jamdani to distinguish between them so as not to hurt people's feelings. But the truth is, I think it's our responsibility to disseminate the right knowledge because we can't let such an important intangible heritage applied to something that it simply is not. So I completely agree with you. Should you even call it Jamdani if it doesn't, if no needle has ever come anywhere close to the fabric? You shouldn't be calling it. So that's why the new term that I have started using myself, and that's what I encourage everyone to use, is to say this is a Jamdani inspired jacquard sari, which I think is a more accurate term to use. With that as a backdrop, it's important for us to look forward, to look ahead. What do you see uh, as the future of Jamdanis, at least from the point of view of West Bengal?
Jamdani has a positive future. Today, it is one of the few textile traditions that has seen the maximum innovation. Unfortunately, the heavy Dhakai Jamdani on the fine cotton have become very expensive and that is not affordable all the time also. If we are able to make it more affordable and accessible to the everyone, then only it can be sustained in the future. My advice to the young designers who are interested to work in Jamdani is to simplify the design, to keep the cost low, but focus on using needlework. Innovation is also important to make a place for Jamdanis for all our occasions. I myself have been making pure Mulberry silk Jamdanis, Tasar Jamdanis for some times now for buyers who don't wear cotton. A day will come when silk jamdanis will be worn during weddings, which is my dream. and special occasion just like Kanjivarams and Banaras.
That is indeed a wonderful thought. And I sure hope, for the sake of the tradition and for the sake of the textile that we all love so much, that your dream does come true. Thank you very much, Manush. It was very enjoyable chatting with you.
Thanks.